Claressa Shields had her fiance at her fight and her new man in the back. Same night, same venue, same woman. And now her own cousin is burning the whole house down from the inside. Baby, the receipts did not come from the blogs this time. They came from the family. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Tea with Stella, where the tea is always hot, the receipts are always ready, and we never sugarcoat a single thing. I'm Stella. New here, hit subscribe and turn those bells on because today's cup is not just full. It is overflow, my regulars. You already knew today was going to be heavy. Sit down. We are going all the way in. Quick note before we start. Everything discussed today comes from publicly available footage, social media posts, and documented statements. So we are only talking about what has already been put out there. And baby, what is already out there is more than enough. Let's start at the beginning because this story didn't start with Papoose. It started with Tony Rich. At the time, Tony was publicly calling Claressa his baby, supporting her career, and showing up like a committed fiance. Then everything changed after Claressa met Papoose at the Shakur Stevenson fight. Just days after Tony was still posting about their relationship, Claressa admitted she thought Papoose was cute and gave him VIP tickets to her next fight. That's the timeline that has the internet raising eyebrows. Then another name entered the conversation, Dynasty Aura, who publicly made allegations about Claressa's past relationships. Those claims remain unproven, but they added fuel to an already explosive story and had social media looking for patterns instead of isolated incidents. Suddenly, people weren't talking about one controversy. They were debating whether this was part of a much bigger history. And once the internet starts connecting dots, it rarely stops asking questions.
Oh, okay. Make sure I say allegedly. Okay, allegedly. Just the text messages and pictures, screenshots, and everything. She can't deny it.
Did you catch that? On record, her own words. She thought he was cute. Baby, cute enough to hand over free VIP tickets, cute enough to personally invite to your fight in Detroit, cute enough to be officially dating just 6 weeks later, while Tony Rich, your fiance, was in that same building supporting you that night. When you call a man cute and immediately hand him a VIP pass, that is not admiring someone from a distance. That is an invitation. And everybody at that fight got the memo. Everybody except Tony Rich.
You lied and said, I said, go get your brothers. That's cap. Everybody know I'm close. I'm more close to them and show them more love and support than you do. But let's keep it moving. So we already played the audio of the lame, the knockout victim, soft, didn't even fight back. That's what made me mad. I would have just clipped him and kept it pushing. But the fact that I seen that the nigga was soft when I ran down on him, I said, damn, this nigga be talking all this gangster shit and he ain't even gonna fight back. Nigga was like a deer in headlights. But that's another story. Knocked him out. It's no mystery. Had to get a tetanus shot, knocked his tooth out and all that. Hole in my hand, the whole shit. But let me show y'all the audio of her. Check this out. I want y'all to listen to this. Can y'all hear me? Should I play the lame first? Should I play the lame saying that he the knockout victim, saying that he's blackmailing her? Let me play her.
Here's where the timeline gets messy. Tony Rich was there as Claressa's fiance, while Papoose was backstage at the very same event. According to the timeline being discussed online, Papoose knew Tony would be there, but Tony had no idea Papoose was in the building. That's the moment many people believe the lines started getting blurred. The relationship didn't become public until later, after Remy Ma brought it into the spotlight. Since then, the internet has debated who knew what and when. One thing almost everyone agrees on is that Tony Rich was caught in the middle of a situation he never publicly addressed. And that's why many people still see him as the one who walked away with the biggest loss. Now, let's talk about the second bombshell, because if the Tony Rich situation showed us who Claressa is in her relationships, what Shalita just exposed shows us who she is in her family. And baby, it is not a pretty picture. Shalita is Claressa's cousin, the same cousin who taught Claressa how to fight, the same blood. And when their grandmother passed away, this is when everything came apart, because Shalita was supposed to drive to the funeral with Claressa. They had planned it, same car, together. And then suddenly, Claressa's security was at the door telling Shalita she could not come in to her own grandmother's funeral. And where was Papoose during all of this? The man who is allegedly always upstairs, always present, always supportive. He was at a hotel in Grand Blanc, not at the funeral, not beside his woman during one of the hardest moments a family goes through at a hotel. Baby, upstairs has a very specific address. And that day, it was not where Claressa needed him to be. And then came the detail that should sit with everybody watching this. The funeral arrangements were not fully paid for. Claressa Shields, the woman who goes live every single week, reminding everybody about her 7-bedroom house, her pool, her millions, could not fully cover the cost of putting her grandmother in the ground. But the security bill, that was handled immediately. Without question, Dakaj was funded. Family was not. Read that again. And here is what makes this even more interesting. Shalita keeps getting information, details that only someone very close to Claressa would know. Hotel locations, financial specifics, private conversations. Someone in that inner circle is feeding information directly to the outside. Baby, when the leaks are coming from inside the house, that means someone very close is watching very carefully, and they are not impressed with what they see.
We all, me, you, and Easy agreed that we wasn't going to say nothing about the incident that happened at my event. Not that you knocked anybody out, because that was always a lie. And you agreed to it because at the time you didn't have your executive position job as the head of hip hop that no one has heard about in the Monthly Sundays. And you wasn't sure if it was secure, so we couldn't have something.
The cousin who taught Claressa Shields how to fight had to pull out a weapon just to say goodbye to their grandmother. Let that land. Paid security, standing there with a badge and a paycheck, blocking a family member from a funeral, not to protect anyone from danger, to protect an image, to control who was in the room, to manage the optics of a moment that was supposed to be about grief, not about brand management. And the police, they refused to touch Shalita. Whistleblower protection. They told the security team they did not have the proper paperwork and walked away. Baby, when law enforcement shows up and sides with the person you hired security against, that says everything about who actually had the right to be in that room.
I don't give a fuck if you fucking this nigga. Just tell him stop spewing the business. If niggas found out you was fucking the help, that could really ruin your image. We talking Barack and Michelle, Pap and Rim. Nigga, that's us. Y'all the poster child symbol for black love. Yo, nigga wouldn't even think that y'all marriages still had to go through them stages. Every interview, he show his admiration and tell the world how he think his woman the greatest. That nigga held you down in prison for 6 years. It was nice, he cried big. It was... Hold it down, he already dead. Hold it down. Every interview, he show his admiration and tell the world how his woman the greatest. Nigga, he held you down in prison for 6 years. I know it was nice, he cried big tears. He still by you by your biggest accomplishment, front row, giving you big tears. Now y'all got a beautiful, beautiful baby girl who oh so amazing. He be damned if he lose you to this bozo with braces. Nigga, hey, the world ain't never supposed to know what you and me going through. Hey, the world ain't never supposed to know what you and me going through. But this nigga behind closed doors running his mouth like a hoe supposed to do.
Papoose upstairs in his vault of money, like Uncle Scrooge. Baby, that line right there deserves its own segment. Because according to what is being alleged, every gambling debt he runs up is on Claressa's dime. 20,000, 30,000. While the grandmother's funeral arrangements were sitting unpaid, while the family was scrambling, while Shalita was spending her own money just to get there, and the merchandise, sitting in a garage. Papoose allegedly told her to start selling it. Baby, when your man is pushing you to clear out old inventory from a garage to generate cash flow, that is not business advice. That is a red flag dressed up as support. She bought a white Corvette recently, and Remy Ma has one too. The copying continues. The image is being maintained carefully, but the private jet, still not happening. Commercial flights, Delta, Coach. The woman who reminds everybody weekly about her millions is not flying private. The bank account and the brand are telling two very different stories right now. So that is today's tea. A fiance who showed up for his woman and had no idea another man was already in the building. A VIP ticket handed to a stranger because he was cute, while the engagement ring was still on her finger. A grandmother's funeral where the security bill was paid, but the burial arrangements were not. A cousin with a gun and whistleblower protection who just wanted to say goodbye. And here's why it matters. Honey, when you have to keep proving a relationship is real over and over, louder and louder, that's usually the exact moment it stops feeling like one. So T with Stella wants to know, team, she's genuinely beautifully in love, or team, baby, this is way too much, too fast. And real talk, honey, is Papoose still that man, or did he fumble his whole legacy for a spot on somebody else's highlight reel? Drop your verdict below, because this tea is way too hot to drink alone. And if you made it this far, you already know. Like, subscribe, and share. I'm Stella, and the tea is always hot here.